Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Pillars atop the tower of Badrinath Temple. They are the pillars of a faith so ancient that no man, no name, no history can circumscribe it. We traveled on a road cut into a mountain silvered with streams in the Garhwal Himalayas of Uttar Pradesh.
We pass Gopeshwar, an attractive town spreading down from a sunlit ridge. Our ascent to Badrinath really begins at the edge of a gorge town of Joshimath. Vehicles queue up at both ends and at the center of the impressively scenic drive to Badrinath, up the valley of the Alakananda River. The river is gentlest at the start of the drive, closest to Joshimath. It flows with a certain deceptive docility, a faint coyness, through grass-covered hills. But a little way up, it begins to assert its true character. It has to be aggressive to cut its way through the valleys of ranges interlocked like the fingers of hands clasped in prayer.
Still further up, the Lakshman-Ganga River tumbles down from the heights of the glacier-fed Lokpal Lake, also known as Hemkund. It pours into the Alakananda as we continue our way up the valley of this surging river.
All vehicles have to stop at Pandukeswa Village with its old temples and its new dish antennae. Little communities like this one are now in contact with the wide world, and at the speed of light too. Our car, however, can't drive quite that fast. In Pandukeswa, the convoy driving down from Badrinath waits till our motorcade reaches this central point. Itinerant shawl sellers visit every vehicle, peddling the hand-spun, hand-woven products of the crofts of this area. You can pick up 2 sheet-sized woolen shawls for as little as 150 rupees, if you're lucky and can bargain well. When all the vehicles have arrived, a policeman blows his whistle. With an impatient roar, the traffic starts up again.
We peeled out of the queue for a moment to examine a fascinating little watermill in Lumbagar, literally the fortress of Lumba. This water-spun wheel rotates the grindstone above it, which, unlike the legendary mills of God, does not grind the exceeding small. Many of the people of the hills, like Sanjit Singh Chauhan, our mentor in the mill, still prefer stone-ground, wholemeal flour to the factory-made variety. Such natural foods help mountain folk to cross 7 ranges to get to the nearest town. This is not a fun trek.
Nevertheless, where there's a will, there's a way. This pilgrim is trudging to Badrinath. Behind him rise slabs of rock, glistening as if they had been fashioned out of hammered steel. Geologists tell us that they are a sign that we are approaching the greater and Tethys Himalayas, the world's highest and youngest mountains. Conifers thrust out of them like trees planted by a gigantic bonsai master. Water finds it difficult to wear down these hard rocks.
The village of Hanuman Chatti spreads below. Then we look ahead and, in the increasingly chill air, see an enormous boulder overhanging our road like a monstrous bulldog's muzzle.
Now the glaciers begin. Glaciers overhang a river. A large, fat roadside glacier drips icy water across our mountain highway. We pause a while to touch this impacted snow and ice, freezing water dripping from its crystalline teats. For all their seeming delicate beauty, glaciers are the Himalayas' greatest earth movers. This glacier, feeding water and rich soil into the Alakananda River, will soon excavate the earth till the bare black bones of rocks are exposed.
We are now 3,000 meters above sea level, and we pass a sad memorial to a Gurkha soldier who died here on the 20th of January, 1971. We also pass fine-featured mountain women cutting fodder for their cattle. The people of the Himalayas have to be tough to survive. Others seek to toughen themselves by meeting the challenges of these high mountains. We see this band of young trekkers returning from the base camp of 6,604 meter high Nilkant mountain, as perky as sparrows with their achievement. Some of them, in the years ahead, might tackle the high white peak of that formidable mountain.
A few hours after we had joined the queue at the bottom of the mountain road, we sweep around a bend, and there, Badrinath lies before us. No one quite knows how long people have been trudging up to this shrine and worshipping the great forces that lie beyond human understanding.
According to a senior official of the temple trust,
इस मूर्ति को किसी ने बनाया नहीं है, स्वयंभू मूर्ति है भगवान की। तो इसको जो जिस भी धर्मावलंबी के लोग आते हैं, जैसे हम सनातनी धर्मी हैं, हम कहते हैं भगवान विष्णु की मूर्ति है, जैन कहते हैं दिगंबर की मूर्ति है, मुसलमान कहते हैं कि हमारे बद्रुद्दीन की मूर्ति है, इवन बुद्ध कहते हैं हमारे बुद्ध भगवान की मूर्ति है। जो भी इसको जिस रूप में देखता है उस रूप में उसके दर्शन पाते हैं। इसलिए जो इसको मानता है उसको मैं भगवान दर्शन देता है, और किसी के लिए इसमें कोई ऐसी वो नहीं है कि वो इसमें आ न सकें।
everyone, regardless of caste, creed or nationality, is welcome to worship in the Badrinath Temple. People see in the idol of Badri whatever they wish to see, depending on their own religious views. An official gazetteer claims that the original building is said to have been erected by Shankaracharya about the 8th century. The present temple possesses a very modern appearance, several former ones having been overwhelmed by avalanches. These pyramidal structures are avalanche breakers protecting the present temple.
Badrinath bulges at the seams with devotees pouring in from all over India. Most come up in laden buses and then look around for accommodation in some of the dharamshalas or hospices established by the rich or by charitable trusts. Some people prefer to stay in the tourist bungalow, where rooms are offered at prices ranging from 450 rupees down to 100 rupees. But as the tourist bungalow is often overbooked, it's best to stay in Joshimath. The nearest railway station is at Rishikesh, 296 kilometers away. The nearest airport is at Jolly Grant. Traffic between Joshimath and Badrinath, 45 kilometers apart, can leave these two towns only at 6, 9 and 11:30 in the morning and at 2:30 and 4:30 in the evening.
We walked out to the bus terminus and watched the pilgrims come streaming in. It was an encounter with a bright mosaic of India speaking its many languages. People thronged the narrow sloping streets. They bought copper, brass and icons. They also shopped for beads and trinkets and bangles. One man offered impressions of black ammonites, fossil seashells from those ancient days when the Himalayas were the original Jurassic Park.
There, below, just above the glacier-borne river, spouted the steaming waters of the Tapta Kund. Pilgrims bathed, challenging the chill Himalayan breeze of Badrinath.
Above the sulphur baths, the resplendent doorway of the temple was filled with pilgrims streaming in, pouring out. From a vantage point above the temple, we saw devotees circumambulating the sanctum, ringing bells and moving on, lighter in heart and mind. The first temple, we were told, was established by Adi Shankara. He laid down the integrating principle that the chief priest of this temple should be a scholar from the deep south of India. We spoke to Chief Priest Vishnu Nambudri just after he returned from his official duties in the great temple.
അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നാഷണൽ ഇൻഡിക്കേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ആണ് ശങ്കരാചാര്യ ഒരു 1200 വർഷങ്ങൾക്ക് മുമ്പ് ഇത്രയും വളരെയധികം പ്രധാനമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇൻഡിക്കേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ചെയ്തു വെച്ചത്. आज मैं देखा है बहुत बारी से बहुत लोग खड़ा होकर भगवान का दर्शन के लिए एकमात्र दर्शन के लिए खड़ा होने का टाइम एक आनंद होता है.
Badrinath is one of the 4 dhams or principal shrines established by Shankaracharya. The other 4 are Dwarka in the west, Puri in the east, and Rameshwaram in the south, according to the officials of the Badrinath Temple. On the riverside ghats, people had gathered to pray, guided by their priests. Here too, as in Gangotri, devotees pray for their ancestors.
In the fickle weather of the Himalayas, mist and rain massed in the mountains. It began to drizzle again. The only one who seemed to enjoy it was a lone Brahmani duck. He was probably a maverick from a flock which had migrated to the cold lakes of Tibet. Then there were some chattering and yellow-beaked alpine choughs, known as Chinese crows in Badrinath. The mercury stood at a shivering 9 degrees centigrade.
The next morning, the sky cleared and Nilkant was a glittering diamond in a dark setting.
We drove out of Badrinath and headed for Mana. Behind us, Badrinath stood, cupped between the Nar and Narayan mountains. Mana is the last village in India before the high border with Tibet. The old traders from Tibet probably made Mana one of their bases. The people have their own style of dress, very pragmatic for a cold land. Their slate-roofed village on the high, wind-swept northern border is full of narrow, twisting lanes. Cold winds are thought before they can howl through Mana. Busy women sit in the sun. When we met them, 12-year-old weaver Deepa, her grandmother Rukmini, and sister Jyotsna had just returned from their winter sojourn in Gopeshwar, where Deepa goes to school. We bought 2 bright chair rugs for 260 rupees for the pair.
We then began to pick our way down to the base of a dark cliff. Here, out of a cave, gushed a stream known as the legendary Saraswati, full of power and urgency. Her torrent was spanned by a huge boulder associated with the epic hero Bhima. Nearby is probably the first shrine to Bhima.
Higher up, in a rock which looked oddly like the compressed pages of a book, was the Vyas Gufa, cave of the sage Vyas. Inside this beautiful cave shrine, the priest told us that it was here that Vyas had dictated the great epic Mahabharata to Lord Ganesh. In place of a quill, Lord Ganesh broke off one of his own tusks to use as a pen. Ever since then, Ganesh is known as Ekdanta, the single-tusked, elephant-headed god.
However, the noise of the Saraswati disturbed them. Angered, Vyas reduced her great flood by banishing much of it underground. The Saraswati still flows underground until, it is believed, she joins the Ganga and the Yamuna rivers at their great confluence in Allahabad. Even there, she is reputed to flow beneath the surface of those two mighty rivers.
We followed the blue course of the visible Saraswati till it poured into the Alakananda. Then we looked beyond to where the Alakananda began in a melting glacier far in the mountains.
Our eyes caught a great soaring bird of the high Himalayas. He is not concerned with legends or history, faith or sciences. He takes life as it comes, serving it from his cool Olympian heights. He is free to go wherever he wants to. Now we, too, must leave Badrinath and head for the land where the gods winter.